What's poppin', you damn dirty apes? It's me, MT, and welcome back to the Heavy Spoilers Show, y'all. Heavy spoilers coming your way for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, because we've got to talk about that movie's ending, the end credit stinger, and what could possibly be coming for the next chapter of the Apes mythos. But yeah, let's get into it. Now, I'm gonna start by talking about what happens during the credits of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, because I feel that's probably what you guys are most interested in, let's be real. Because much like we saw Matt Reeves do with the credits of the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes movie, Wes Ball takes a cue from Matt Reeves by leaving an audio Easter egg at the very end of this movie's credits. But what the hell was that super quick ape-like sound at the end of those credits anyway? Well, I've got some great news for you, my friend, because that sound is none other than the sweet sounds of an orangutan, a very educated orangutan by the name of Raka, played by actor Peter Mackin. Peter Mackin is of course most famously known for his role as Bortus on the TV show The Orville. In Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, there is of course a point in the movie where the orangutan Raka, the chimpanzee Noah, and the human woman May are ambushed on a bridge by Proximus Caesar's brainwashed goon squad of apes as a river rages beneath them. However, while trying to rescue May from being caught in that river's current, Raka is accidentally swept away himself, with everyone, including the audience, assuming that this friendly-ass orangutan just had his life of historical research and preservation cut short. But alas, like Raka always says, the work indeed continues, as the orangutan grunts of Raka that we hear at the very end of the end credits reveal that he somehow managed to survive his dip in the river and is alive and well and ready to return for a potential sequel to this fantastic movie. And while I usually do get annoyed when movies reverse emotionally impactful deaths, I'm gonna have to give this movie a pass on this one, because Raka was easily my favorite character in this entire movie. Mostly because my favorite ape from the last Planet of the Apes trilogy was of course the orangutan MVP Maurice. And Raka acted a lot like Maurice did, and I was so happy to see Maurice get a cameo at the very beginning of this movie during Caesar's emotionally impactful funeral ceremony. And shout out to Maurice actress Karen Conoval for returning in her role as Maurice for the 4th time in this franchise. I think she is actually the longest serving ape in this franchise, now that I think about it. But anyways, now that we got this end credits sound situation squared away, now let us talk about this movie's actual ending and where a possible sequel could go from here. And I do say possible sequel because as of the time I'm filming this, a sequel to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has yet to be greenlit by 20th Century Studios, which makes sense considering that they kinda, have to see how this movie does commercially before investing more in that universe with their millions upon millions of dollars. However, with this movie ending with Noah and the Eagle Clan using their mastery of eagles to free everyone from Proximus Caesar's self-centered tyrannical rule by sending him to an early watery grave, a sequel to the series can go pretty much anywhere. But one of the biggest clues that could point to where a potential sequel could go is how this movie very much intentionally ends with all eyes on the sky. I mean, with May succeeding in her goal of finding the right drive necessary to access satellite communication, the ending of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes shows humanity looking into the skies for hope as they make their first steps to hopefully getting reorganized on a global scale to take their planet back. This moment is of course intercut with footage of Noah and his Buthang Suna looking up at the stars in wonder through the telescope at the abandoned astral observatory that Noah discovered earlier with May. However, what's really interesting during this moment is, as the apes approach this telescope, the camera takes a moment to focus in on a shot of an astronaut on the wall, which I found to be significant and intentional, because I believe this focus on outer space at the end of this movie could be director Wes Ball hinting at his intentions to bring the lost astronauts out in outer space back to Earth, just like what happened in the original 1968 Planet of the Apes film. Because if you remember from Rise of the Planet of the Apes, after we see a KOTJ news broadcast covering a news story of the Icarus space shuttle entering Mars' atmosphere, we later then get a newspaper article from the San Francisco Chronicle that mentions that Earth had lost all contact with all of those astronauts on that Mars expedition, citing the Icarus as lost in space. With that Easter egg, of course, being a nod to the original Liberty 1 Icarus spaceship that crash landed Taylor and the rest of his crew onto the Planet of the Apes in the very first Planet of the Apes movie, I suspect that Wes Ball intends on hatching that particular Easter egg sooner rather than later in a follow-up to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This movie ending with telescopes and satellites just screams that the Icarus is on Wes Ball's mind as a focal point in his new trilogy, especially when you consider that this movie has a major tease towards a key item and location from the original 1968 Planet of the Apes movie. Because remember when Noah and the apes break into the locked up human silo with May, and the apes find and squeeze a doll they find on one of those tables? That doll looks and makes the exact same noise that the doll that the ape scientist Cornelius would find inside of a cave in the original Apes movie. A cave that is positioned along a seashore, much like we see the silo doors are in this movie. So it seems to me that Wes Ball clearly intended for this movie to act as an origin story of sorts for that very cave that Cornelius would find in the near future in the original 1968 Planet of the Apes. And it's a doll that Taylor would use to prove the existence of a thriving human civilization before the time of apes. So with this doll making an appearance in this movie alongside the potential origin of the cave from the original film, I really do feel like Wes Ball is laying down the groundwork for Icarus's imminent arrival in his new trilogy. Especially now that the Icarus now has the means to potentially communicate with humanity again with their newly functioning satellites, which we saw humanity successfully do by communicating with another faction of humans in Fort Wayne, Indiana, with Fort Wayne, Indiana being yet another reference to the astronauts from the 1968 Planet of the Apes movie, as George Taylor himself attended Jefferson Public School in Fort Wayne, Indiana as a boy. But regardless of whether or not the Icarus astronauts return for a sequel, you can definitely bet your ass that tensions between the apes and humanity is likely going to be a focal point for this next movie, especially after Noah and May's final goodbye that saw May clutching her gun behind her back with her finger on the trigger, ready to shoot Noah at a moment's notice. A moment that I believe was meant to underscore humanity's innate fearful and violent nature, even though Noah would love to be able to find a way for apes and humans to live in harmony like Caesar and Raka wanted. You gotta remember that humanity's fear of things they don't understand is only rivaled by their fear of inferiority. And when both of those fears are tag teaming to motivate humanity's actions, it's gonna take a lot more than Raka's old Caesar unity bracelet to get humanity to quell their desire to subjugate or eradicate the entire sentient ape species. So, as the human race begins to make more contacts with other different human factions around the world, much like we saw them do with the humans in Fort Wayne, Indiana, expect those humans to get together and start planning on how they're going to fight these apes to take their place back as top of the planetary food chain. But all in all, even though I was admittedly scared to see what the Apes franchise would look like without the brilliant mind of Matt Reeves at the helm, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes exceeded my expectations as a fitting sequel to one of the few picture-perfect trilogies out there. It matches the tone of the last trilogy perfectly by very brilliantly picking up exactly where the last movie left off by showing us Caesar's funeral. That funeral scene was the perfect way to bridge us into this new era of the Apes mythos, and Wes Ball really did a phenomenal job in making a really great case for why this beautiful franchise about the nature of humankind should be gifted yet another trilogy. Because like Raka always says, the work continues. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this ending explained for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. You guys can follow me at Mastertainment on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, wherever I am on the internet. But most importantly, follow Heavy Spoilers here on YouTube. And when you do, hit that notification bell so that you guys can get notifications for every single time we upload a video. But yeah, you guys are amazing. Thank you guys for stopping by and spending time with me. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.